There is no secret. There is no hidden formula, no mysterious code, and no magic word whispered in the corridors of power that unlocks the gates of enduring achievement. The only difference between the man who arrives at his goal and the man who never leaves the starting line is this: the winner has trained his mind into a relentless system. If you want to create success, not once, not by accident, but daily, if you want your results to be as predictable as the rising sun, then you must build your mind into a machine that runs on purpose, discipline, and daily ritual. Do not make the mistake of believing that great results come to those who wait for inspiration or who act only when the mood is right. Waiting is the business of the timid and the poor. Inspiration is a luxury for the undisciplined. If you are to take hold of your life and direct it, you must set in motion the machinery of thought, intention, and action until they move forward whether you feel like it or not. Your mind must become a furnace where every excuse is incinerated and every hesitation is forged into momentum. Begin with this law: the mind is like a field, and every thought is a seed. If you allow the winds of circumstance or the weeds of negativity to plant themselves at random, you will reap confusion, mediocrity, and failure. But if you deliberately sow thoughts of power, persistence, and precision, your field will become a harvest of daily achievement. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the daily act of choosing the seeds you wish to plant and uprooting every weed before it takes hold. You cannot afford to let your days be guided by mood, weather, or the opinions of those who have accomplished nothing. The successful mind wakes up with a decision, not a question. There is no negotiation with the bed, no debate with fatigue, no bargaining with distraction. The first victory of the day is getting up with intention, and that single act sets the tone for every hour that follows. Decide right now that you will never again be at the mercy of your feelings in the morning. The world belongs to those who act first. The greatest fortunes, the strongest empires, the most enviable lives are not built by men who work hard once in a while. They are built by men who make success a daily habit. Do not be fooled by stories of sudden luck or overnight success. Every man who wins over the long run does so because he has made his habits his allies. Your rituals, what you do every morning, how you spend your first hours, the thoughts you feed yourself before the day even begins, these are the levers that move the world in your favor. Consistency is the architect of greatness. If you wish to train your mind into a system, you must first become ruthless with your environment. Remove every object, every sound, every presence that encourages distraction, self-pity, or comfort-seeking. Success is not created in chaos. It is engineered in order. The most powerful minds in history have understood the need to shape their surroundings so that every step they take in the morning leads them inevitably toward their objective. Build your world to serve your purpose, not your pleasures. Now, understand this principle. What gets measured gets improved. Your mind must become a ledger, a relentless accountant that records every action, every lapse, every victory and defeat. Do not drift through your days hoping for improvement. Track your progress with precision. Set clear metrics, words written, deals closed, calls made, miles run, books read. The man who refuses to measure his progress is the man who will always be surprised by his lack of results. Clarity is power, and power is built on truth. Train your focus as you would train a wild horse. The world is designed to scatter your attention, to break your will with every ping, every headline, every idle curiosity. If you wish to be uncommon, you must guard your attention as if it were your most valuable asset, because it is. Each day, choose one priority. Make it the North Star around which all lesser tasks must orbit. Complete it before the world can interrupt. Do not attempt everything. Do the one thing that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. That is how the great build momentum that cannot be stopped. You must also master your self-talk. The words you speak to yourself each day are commands to your subconscious. If you tell yourself you are tired, unmotivated, unlucky, or overwhelmed, your mind will obey and create circumstances to prove you right. Refuse to let your mind become your enemy. Instead, turn it into your most loyal soldier. Each morning, speak your intention. Remind yourself what you want, why you want it, and what you are willing to endure to achieve it. There is no room for negativity in a system that is engineered for daily victory. If you falter, and you will, refuse to let a single failure become an identity. The disciplined mind does not romanticize setbacks. It extracts the lesson, recalibrates the process, and returns to the task with even greater force. The difference between the weak and the strong is not that the strong never fail, it is that the strong never surrender to failure. Each error is a brick in the foundation. Each stumble is a teacher, not a tombstone. This is the habit that will set you apart for a lifetime. Surround yourself with standards, not wishes. Post your goals where you can see them. Review your plans each night before you sleep and each morning before you begin. Do not drift through your days hoping for improvement. Drive your days, demand improvement, and never compromise with excuses. Each evening, hold an audit with yourself. Did I do what I said I would do? Did I honor my commitment to myself? The answer must become a contract, not a suggestion. This is how the mind is forged into a system that produces results daily, until success is as natural as breathing. Understand that all change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and glorious at the end. The early days of training your mind are full of friction. You will resent the alarm clock, loathe the structure, resist the measurement. Your old self, addicted to ease and comfort, will try to bargain, to sabotage, to convince you to quit. But if you outlast that voice for even a few weeks, you will notice the beginnings of a shift. What was once difficult becomes routine. What was once routine becomes easy. And what is easy becomes automatic. That is the holy grail of achievement. To make greatness a habit, not a hope. It is here, in this relentless repetition, that you separate yourself from 99% of the world. Most men crave novelty, comfort, and variety. But the man who can do what must be done every day without excuse or exception is the man the world will eventually call disciplined, unstoppable, and inevitable. You must remember, your mind is not a servant of your circumstances. It is the master of your reality. Each day you train it. You plant seeds for tomorrow's harvest. Each day you slack. You sow weeds that will choke your future. Decide now, once and for all, that you will become a man of process, not just potential. This is the new definition of freedom. Not doing what you want when you want, but building the ability to do what you must every day until the world has no choice but to reward your discipline with results. That is how you become a force. That is how you transform your life. Train your mind into a system that creates success daily, and you will find that luck, talent, and even genius pale in comparison to the unstoppable power of a well-engineered will. The rest of your life will follow the blueprints you lay down today, so start building and never stop. Every man walks through life with the raw material for greatness already within his grasp. But only the rare individual forges this raw material into the machinery of daily progress. The majority wander through their years as if they are passengers, waiting for luck or circumstance to steer their ship into the harbor of fortune. But the man who rules his mind, who takes his days by the throat and demands progress, understands that nothing of value is left to chance. He knows that each morning is a blank page, and what is written upon it becomes the story of his life. You must take the pen out of fate's hand and write your own destiny with intent, system, and discipline. Begin with the simplest and most powerful truth. You become what you repeat. Your results are not the outcome of sporadic effort, nor are they the byproduct of fleeting enthusiasm. They are the sum of your daily rituals. If you wish to know your future, do not look at your dreams, look at your habits. Do you begin your day in confusion or with clarity? Do you let the opinions of others intrude upon your focus, or do you armor your mind against all distractions? The world will push and pull you in 1,000 directions if you allow it. Your responsibility is to build your life around immovable pillars, your non-negotiable routines. The disciplined mind carves out time for reflection, for planning, and for decisive action, regardless of chaos or crisis. You must understand that your mind, left undirected, is prone to drift, and a drifting mind is the breeding ground of regret. The man who achieves is the man who, upon waking, asks himself not what he feels like doing, but what must be done to move forward. Discipline is not a matter of force. It is a matter of alignment, aligning your actions with your ambitions, even when comfort begs you to delay. If you set your intention the night before, your morning becomes a mission, not a negotiation. This is how the mind is conditioned into certainty and confidence day by day. You must also recognize the power of the first hour. The opening act of your day sets the rhythm for all that follows. The successful man rises before the sun not to prove something to the world, but to gain mastery over his most precious asset, time. In that quiet hour, before the demands of others descend upon you, you have the sacred opportunity to program your mind for victory. Use it for meditation, visualization, and the written affirmation of your purpose. This is not empty ritual. It is the conscious act of telling your subconscious, I am the architect of this day, and I will direct its course. Now, do not fall into the trap of complexity. Most men, in their pursuit of self-mastery, design routines so elaborate they collapse under their own weight. Simplicity is your greatest ally. Choose a handful of habits that yield disproportionate results and make them your religion. Read daily to feed your mind with new ideas. Move your body to ignite your energy. Plan your day on paper so that every hour is a servant, not a thief. Review your goals with ruthless honesty and adjust your tactics as needed. In time, these simple acts accumulate into an avalanche of achievement. The mind you possess is both a muscle and a mirror. It strengthens through resistance and reflects what you feed it. If you consume the trivial and the negative, your thoughts will be weak and scattered. If you choose the uplifting, the strategic, and the challenging, your thoughts will become sharp and powerful. Guard the gates of your mind as fiercely as you would guard a vault of gold. What enters will be reflected in what you produce. A mind that is daily nourished by wisdom and clarity will never starve for opportunity. Understand, too, the law of compounding. Small acts, repeated without fail, become unstoppable forces. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how minor, you build a bridge of self-trust. When that trust is unshakable, you no longer wait for motivation. You act because you know you can rely on yourself. This is the true dividend of discipline. Not only results in the world, but an inner confidence that cannot be bought, borrowed, or inherited. The man who is master of his mind fears nothing and no one. Be wary of the thief called urgency. The world will present you with endless fires to put out, endless demands disguised as emergencies. But the disciplined mind distinguishes between what is important and what is merely immediate. Make it your daily practice to ask, will this matter in a month, a year, a decade? Let your answer determine your attention. When you train your mind to prioritize the significant over the urgent, you become unhurried, unshaken, and undistracted by the noise of lesser men. You must also practice the art of detachment. Do not allow your self-worth to rise and fall with the tides of external opinion or temporary setbacks. The system you are building in your mind is not for public applause, it is for private victory. The greatest successes in history were often ridiculed, doubted, or dismissed at first. But the man who is anchored by routine, fortified by discipline, and loyal to his own standards needs no validation. He builds his results in silence and lets the world wake up to his achievements. One of the most underestimated disciplines is review. Every evening, before you allow sleep to take you, reflect upon your day. Ask yourself, where did I keep my promise to myself? Where did I falter? What lesson is concealed within today's mistakes? This is not an exercise in self-criticism, but in self-mastery. The man who reviews his day with honesty and resolve does not repeat his failures, he evolves beyond them. Each review is a sharpening of the blade, a polishing of the mind's machinery. Beware, too, the poison of comparison. The disciplined mind does not measure its progress by the standards of others, but only by its own potential. You are not in competition with the world, you are in competition with the man you were yesterday. Each day, demand of yourself a step forward, no matter how small. In time, the smallest increments compound into transformation. There is no limit to the man who makes relentless progress his creed. Understand the power of automation. The most successful systems are those that require the least willpower to maintain. Arrange your life so that the right choice is the easy choice. Lay out your books the night before. Prepare your workspace so that you cannot avoid your most important task. Tell those around you what your boundaries are so that your focus is protected by the expectations you set. Willpower is a finite resource, but environment can be engineered for infinite support. Finally, embrace the humility of being a student forever. The system you build in your mind is never finished. There will always be new strategies, new insights, new habits to adopt and old ones to discard. The man who believes he has arrived ceases to progress. The man who remains teachable, adaptable, and curious creates a mind that is both fortress and frontier, a place where success is manufactured day after day, year after year. Train your mind until success is the natural result of your daily system. Make each day a testament to your discipline, a monument to your resolve, and a chapter in the story of a life engineered for greatness. The difference between those who wish and those who achieve is simple. The achiever has made his mind his greatest asset, his system his strongest ally, and his daily actions the currency with which he buys his future. Begin today. There will never be a better time to become the architect of your destiny. If you would command your life, you must first command your attention. Most men allow their focus to scatter like leaves in the wind, easily distracted by every fleeting impulse, every minor disturbance, every whisper from the outside world. This is why they fail. If you desire extraordinary results, you must train your attention to obey your will. Begin each day by reclaiming your mind from the noise. Refuse to let the world dictate the first thoughts that enter your consciousness. Set aside time for quiet reflection. In this sacred space, define your top priority with unwavering clarity. Your mind must be harnessed to a single purpose, and your energy must be gathered into a single unstoppable force. Scatter your effort and you dilute your impact, focus it, and you become formidable. Understand this. Your mind will resist at first. It is conditioned by years, sometimes decades, of distraction and passivity. It will seek the path of least resistance, drifting into old routines and self-soothing habits. Do not allow it. Just as a wild horse must be broken before it can be ridden, your mind must be disciplined before it can serve you. When you notice yourself reaching for distractions, stop. Bring your awareness back to your task, your goal, your vision. Every time you win this small battle, you strengthen the neural pathways of focus and control. In time, this discipline becomes effortless, your default state. The undisciplined mind is the slave of circumstance. The disciplined mind becomes the master. You must also guard against mental fatigue. Understand that willpower, while trainable, is not infinite. If you waste your energy on trivialities and petty decisions, you have little left for the pursuits that truly matter. Ruthlessly simplify your life. Automate the unimportant. Reserve your best thinking for your highest priorities. Do not squander your mornings through idle amusements or getting lost in gossip. Make the first hours of your day sacred, dedicated to the building of your mind and the advancement of your life's chief aim. Your mental energy is precious. Waste it, and mediocrity becomes your companion. Invest it, and success becomes inevitable. There will come moments when your motivation wanes. This is natural. No man is inspired every day. The weak wait for inspiration, then complain when it does not arrive. The wise create a system so robust that it produces results regardless of their mood. You must learn to execute your plan even when you do not feel like it. Treat your commitments to yourself as unbreakable contracts. If you resolve to read for an hour, to write your goals, to study your craft, you do it. No excuses. This is how you train your mind to associate action with identity. I am the kind of man who follows through. When your identity and your actions are aligned, motivation becomes a luxury, not a necessity. Do not mistake this discipline for rigidity. You are not a machine. There will be setbacks, unexpected demands, even days when your best effort falls short. The key is not to avoid failure, but to respond to it with intelligence and self-respect. Review your process. Adjust your approach, but never, under any circumstances, abandon your system. The moment you break your promise to yourself, you plant the seed of doubt in your subconscious. This doubt, if left unchecked, will strangle your confidence and erode your results. Each day, no matter how small the win, honor your commitments. Every victory, however minor, becomes a stone in the foundation of your self-trust. You must make the review of your results a daily ritual. At the end of each day, take 10 minutes to reflect honestly on your progress. Did you advance your most important goal? Did you allow distractions to rob you of time and focus? Where did you excel? And where did you falter? This practice is not about self-criticism, it is about self-mastery. The man who reviews his day with honesty and resolve is a man who does not repeat his mistakes. He is always learning, always refining, always progressing. This habit of daily review is what separates the men who drift from the men who direct their fate. Cultivate also the power of visualization. Each morning and night, close your eyes and see yourself acting with relentless discipline, achieving your goals, living the life you desire. Let these visions burn themselves into your subconscious. The mind, when supplied with a vivid picture of the future, becomes magnetized toward its realization. But do not stop at wishing. Let your visualizations fuel action. See yourself as the man you want to become, then behave as if you already are. The world does not reward what you imagine, it rewards what you do. But your imagination is the architect of your reality. Do not neglect this tool. You will face resistance, not only from yourself, but from others. There will be those who mock your new routines, who resent your rising standards, who try to pull you back into the habits you are leaving behind. Understand that this is a test of your resolve. Do not take it personally. Most men cannot tolerate the presence of someone who demands more from life because it exposes their own complacency. Let their criticism roll off you. Your loyalty is to your vision, not to their comfort. Surround yourself, whenever possible, with others who are committed to progress. If you cannot find such men, let solitude be your ally until you have built the strength to walk alone. Learn to anticipate obstacles. No worthwhile journey is free from difficulty. There will be days when your plans unravel, when your energy is low, when you are tempted to abandon your system. This is when you must remind yourself that true power lies in perseverance. The storm always passes. If you persist, the discipline you are building today will serve you tomorrow. Let your setbacks become fuel, not anchors. Analyze your failures not as final verdicts, but as feedback. Adjust, adapt, and continue. The man who outlasts his obstacles will always outdistance his peers. You must cultivate patience, not the passive patience of waiting, but the active patience of working steadily toward a distant goal. The system you are building may take weeks or months to yield visible results. This is normal. Most men quit before the harvest. They plant seeds, but abandon the field before the crops can grow. Do not be that man. Track your progress, celebrate small wins, and trust in the process. Compound interest is not only a law of finance, it is a law of achievement. Small, consistent actions performed daily will transform your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. Refuse to negotiate with yourself about your priorities. Do not let your mind bargain for an easier path or a lesser standard. When you decide on a course of action, let that decision stand. If you begin to waver, remind yourself that indecision is the enemy of achievement. The man who hesitates is lost. Train your mind to obey your commands. If you say you will act, you act. This is how you develop the internal authority necessary to rule your life. Take care of your physical health as part of your system. The mind is served by the body. Without energy, focus, and vitality, your best intentions wither on the vine. Move daily, eat consciously, and rest with purpose. Treat your body as the vehicle for your mission. A neglected body is the graveyard of ambition. Make strength and energy non-negotiable, fuel for your daily pursuit of greatness. Practice gratitude, not as a sentiment, but as a strategy. Each day, note 3 things for which you are grateful. This primes your mind to notice abundance rather than lack, progress rather than problems. A grateful mind is resilient, creative, and open to opportunity. Gratitude turns setbacks into lessons and obstacles into stepping stones. It is the discipline that keeps your spirit undefeated. Build rituals for renewal. Schedule time to step away from your work, to reflect, to rest, to recharge. The system you are creating is a marathon, not a sprint. Success requires endurance. Use time in nature, creative pursuits, or deep rest to restore your mind. When you return to your mission, you will find your focus sharpened, your resolve renewed. As you persist in building your system, you will notice subtle but profound changes. Your thoughts become more ordered. Your actions become more purposeful. Opportunities begin to appear, not by accident, but because your consistent progress signals to the world and to yourself that you are a man to be trusted with greater responsibility. Others begin to respect your time, your standards, your ambition. You become magnetic, not by what you say, but by what you do, day in and day out. The system you build in your mind is not a cage. It is the key to freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from mediocrity, freedom from the tyranny of the urgent and the trivial. Every act of discipline is an act of liberation. Each day you keep your promises to yourself. You weaken the chains of old habits and strengthen the muscles of your will. Understand that you are not building a system for its own sake. You are building a new identity, a man who achieves what he sets out to do, who is worthy of his own respect, who can be trusted by others and by himself. The system is the scaffolding upon which greatness is constructed. Protect it, refine it, honor it. With each passing day, your system will become your signature, your legacy, and your most reliable ally on the road to the success you desire. Persist. The world belongs to those who outlast it. By this point, you understand that a trained mind is not a product of chance, but of daily, deliberate construction. Now it is time to deepen the foundation, to make your daily system so robust that it withstands storms of adversity and does not falter when the world attempts to shake your resolve. The difference between the average man and the exceptional man is not talent, nor is it luck. It is the quiet, relentless architecture of habits, routines, and unbreakable standards enforced by the will. If you wish to train your mind into a system that creates success, you must become the engineer of your own destiny, unafraid to dig deep, unafraid to work in the darkness before the dawn. First, accept this truth. No system is ever final. The landscape of your life is always shifting. New challenges arise. New responsibilities demand your attention, and new ambitions are born as your mind expands. The system you created for yesterday's level of success will not suffice for today's challenges or tomorrow's opportunities. Therefore, commit yourself to the continual refinement of your mental framework. Every week, take time to audit your routines. Are they still serving your highest aim, or have they become hollow rituals performed without meaning? Are you still advancing, or have you fallen into the comfort of the familiar, mistaking activity for achievement? The mind that grows complacent soon loses its edge. Stay vigilant. Ruthlessly prune routines that no longer yield results. Be as willing to discard what no longer works as you are to adopt what does. A crucial element of your mental system is the setting of intentions, not just at the day's outset, but at every significant transition. Before every meeting, before every task, before every interaction, pause and ask yourself, what outcome do I intend to create here? In this simple act, you become the author of your moments rather than their victim. Instead of drifting through your days, you direct them. Instead of reacting to events, you create them. This is not mere positive thinking. It is mental engineering. The world bends to the will of the man who acts with intention, who moves with purpose, and who brings conscious energy to every step. You must also cultivate the habit of detachment. While your vision must burn with white-hot intensity, your attachment to any single outcome must be flexible. The rigid mind shatters at the first unexpected blow. The trained mind, by contrast, adapts and persists. When a plan fails, as plans sometimes will, do not let your spirit break. Analyze what happened. Remove emotion from the diagnosis. Did you lack preparation? Did you ignore warning signs? Was there an error in your process? Use failure as a diagnostic tool, not a death sentence. The system is not an idol to worship, but a process to improve. Every setback contains the seed of a superior system, provided you are humble enough to learn and bold enough to act. Surround your life with reminders of your system and your progress. Do not rely on memory alone. Write down your routines, your commitments, your rules of conduct. Post them where your eyes will see them daily. The world is full of men with good intentions who drift off course because they forget what they once resolved. You must not allow yourself this luxury. Your mind is a garden, and your environment is the fence that protects it. Build reminders, triggers, and cues into your daily life so that your system is ever present, guiding you like the rails of a train track, ensuring that you arrive at your chosen destination. Be wary of the subtle enemies of consistency. The first is the urgent but unimportant distraction. Emails, requests from others, these are the weeds that choke your garden if left unchecked. Build time blocks for deep work and guard them as if your future depends on it, for it does. The second enemy is the desire for novelty. The mind is drawn to the new, the shiny, the different, especially when progress feels slow. Resist this urge. Remember, greatness is forged in repetition, not novelty. Mastery is the child of boring consistency. It is through daily, unglamorous repetition that the mind is sharpened into a tool of power. You must also be vigilant against internal sabotage, those whispered doubts, the critical inner voice, the urge to procrastinate. When these arise, do not resist them with brute force. Instead, observe them with detachment. Acknowledge their presence, then redirect your attention to the system you have built. Your mind may attempt to pull you into rumination or self-criticism. Interrupt these patterns with decisive action. Each time you override your mind's resistance and act in accordance with your system, you weaken the hold of the old, unproductive patterns and reinforce the neural circuitry of achievement. Another powerful lever in your system is the practice of deliberate discomfort. Success is not found in comfort zones, but on their edges. Each day, set a task that stretches you just beyond your current capacity. It might be a difficult conversation, a challenging project, or even a new habit that makes you uneasy. Do not shrink from discomfort. Pursue it. The mind, like the body, only grows under stress. Train yourself to associate discomfort not with danger, but with progress. The man who is at home with discomfort is unstoppable, for the world's difficulties become his training ground. Harness the power of reflection not just daily, but throughout your day. After every significant action, pause and ask, did I act according to my system? Was I the architect or the passenger? This frequent check-in prevents the slow drift toward mediocrity and keeps you course-correcting in real time. When you live in a state of continuous feedback and adjustment, you become the rare individual who is always improving, never stagnating. Recognize that you are also training your subconscious mind through repetition. Every time you perform a routine, rising at a certain hour, reading, writing, thinking, acting, you impress upon your subconscious a sense of inevitability. Over time, your actions become automatic, as natural as breathing. You cease to debate whether you will do what must be done, you simply do it. This is the true magic of a mental system. It liberates you from the tyranny of choice, the fatigue of willpower, and the chaos of undisciplined days. But this liberation comes only with vigilance. Never confuse automaticity with mindlessness. When your routines become stale, update them. When you find yourself coasting, inject new energy or raise your standards. The system that brought you here will not take you there. Stagnation is the silent enemy of all systems. Keep building, keep refining, keep reaching. Embrace solitude as part of your mental system. In solitude, you reconnect with your deepest desires, clarify your direction, and reinforce your inner resolve. Make time to be alone with your thoughts, your journals, your dreams. Solitude is not isolation. It is communion with your highest self. In the quiet, you see your system with new eyes, unclouded by the noise of the world. Train your mind to see setbacks as signals, not stop signs. When you falter, and you will, resist the urge to quit or to spiral into regret. Pause, breathe, review, and restart. Every day offers a fresh slate. The disciplined man does not dwell on yesterday's failures. He extracts the lesson and applies it today. The mind, once trained, sees no shame in error, only feedback. You must also cultivate a system of accountability. Share your standards with a trusted ally or mentor, someone who will not let you lower the bar. Regularly report your wins, your failures, and your adjustments. Accountability magnifies discipline, for what is inspected is respected. If you lack such a person, use written records as your silent partner. Your journal can become the mirror that never lies, the record that keeps you honest. Finally, remember that the ultimate test of your system is not how well you perform when circumstances are ideal, but how resilient it is under stress. Anyone can follow a routine when life is calm. It is in chaos that your training reveals its value. If you persist through the storms, if you adapt without abandoning your standards, you prove to yourself that your system is not a house of cards, but a fortress. Each challenge overcome is proof of concept, evidence that you are becoming the master for whom no day is wasted and no dream unattainable. As you build and refine, do not wait for the world to validate your progress. The external rewards will arrive in their season, but the true treasure is internal. The knowledge that you are a man who honors his word, who grows in the face of adversity, who molds his environment instead of being molded by it. This unshakable self-respect, this quiet confidence, this daily victory, these are the gifts of a mind trained into a system that creates success every day without fail and without end. When you have reached the point where your habits and routines have constructed a formidable system, the temptation arises to believe your work is complete. But in truth, mastery is not the end of a journey, it is the threshold of a higher standard. Most men never glimpse the real summit because they confuse momentum for arrival, consistency for conclusion. If you would truly train your mind into a system that creates daily success, you must recognize that every peak achieved is but a stepping stone toward a new ascent, a fresh demand for refinement and renewal. The man who rests on his laurels, no matter how impressive, is already in decline, for complacency is the silent thief that unravels the strongest discipline from within. In this phase, you must embrace what I call the second discipline, the discipline of reinvention. Every system, no matter how robust, contains the seeds of its own decay if it is not periodically dismantled, examined, and rebuilt. Make it your monthly ritual to tear down your schedule, your routines, your daily checklist. Stand before the architecture of your own life as a builder considering renovation. What has grown stale? Where has comfort crept in, disguised as efficiency? Which habits have become rote, performed without conviction, contributing little to your highest aims? Most men become servants to the systems they once created. You must remain the master. The key is intentional disruption. Introduce regular intervals of challenge into your life. Change your morning ritual for a week to awaken new neural pathways. Set a new physical goal, something beyond what your current system accommodates. Commit to reading outside your usual subjects, for growth always occurs at the edge of the unknown. In doing so, you keep your mind alert, your spirit hungry, your system alive. If you wait for crisis to force adaptation, you will always be behind. Instead, Choose to disrupt yourself before the world does. The man who can adapt his system willingly is never at the mercy of circumstances, but there is a danger in perpetual tinkering, the trap of restlessness. Some men become addicted to change itself, mistaking movement for improvement. Do not confuse novelty with progress. Your core system, the principles of clarity, focus, self-accountability, and decisive action should be immutable. These are the laws of mental gravity. Only the tools and methods you use to uphold them should evolve. The unchanging principles are what tether your mind to purpose as you evolve your tactics. Hold fast to your vision. Change what needs changing, but never lose sight of why you started. Another pillar of mastery is the elevation of your standards. Most people operate at the level of minimum acceptable effort, doing just enough to avoid failure. This is why most people achieve only average results and live lives of quiet disappointment. If you want your system to yield extraordinary outcomes, you must set extraordinary standards and refuse to lower them, regardless of your mood, fatigue, or circumstances. When you commit to a daily review, you do it, even on your worst days. Each time you honor your standards, you reinforce the identity of a person who can be trusted, most importantly, by himself. But the world will test your standards. Friends and family may ridicule your discipline, calling it obsession or inflexibility. Co-workers may attempt to lure you into mediocrity, asking you to skip your commitments for comfort or distraction. Society itself will tempt you to lower your standards for the sake of fitting in, of being realistic. Reject this nonsense. The herd has never produced a single man of greatness. Your standards are the line in the sand separating you from the masses. Protect them fiercely, and in time, those who doubted you will become the very ones who ask how you did it. Your system must also account for the invisible enemies, fatigue, stress, and emotional volatility. The greatest threat to consistency is not difficulty but exhaustion. When you are physically depleted, the mind's resolve weakens, the voice of compromise grows louder, and the routines that once felt automatic now feel oppressive. Therefore, build recovery into your system. Sleep is not a luxury but a requirement for mental sharpness. Nutrition is not a triviality but fuel for the brain's executive function. Exercise is not a chore but a command to your subconscious that you are a man who takes care of his instrument. When you neglect the body, you sabotage the mind. Develop rituals for emotional regulation. The world is unpredictable, and you cannot control every event, but you can control your response. When anger or anxiety threatens to hijack your day, step away from the chaos. Practice breathing deeply, journaling your thoughts, or taking a brisk walk. These small acts of self-command return you to your system, keeping you from being swept away by the turbulence of emotion. The mind trained to pause, reflect, and redirect is a mind prepared for any challenge. Learn also to harness the power of positive compounding. The real transformation comes not from grand gestures, but from the quiet accumulation of small victories. Each day that you adhere to your system, you bank another deposit in the account of self-confidence. With time, these micro-wins create an internal fortress of belief, making it easier to sustain discipline even in the face of setbacks. The tragedy is that most men give up before the compounding effect can work its magic. They abandon the system when the visible results lag behind their effort. Patience is the rarest trait of the high achiever. Hold the line. Progress is not always visible, but it is always accruing for those who persist. At this advanced stage, your system must become a force multiplier. Automate what can be automated. Reminders, checklists, accountability logs, so that your limited willpower is reserved for decisions that require judgment. Delegate or eliminate low-value tasks. Protect your time as your greatest resource, for every minute spent in trivia is a minute stolen from greatness. When your day is structured around your highest priorities, you unleash your full potential, making exponential gains instead of linear progress. A powerful system also leverages the momentum of environment. Place yourself in spaces that energize and inspire. Seek out associations with those who challenge you to rise higher, not those who enable your weakness. Environment is stronger than willpower. If your home, your office, your social circle do not support your ambition, change them. Do not underestimate the subtle sabotage of an unsupportive environment. The disciplined man engineers his surroundings as ruthlessly as he engineers his schedule. To train your mind into a system that creates daily success, you must finally make peace with the paradox of mastery. You are never finished. There will always be a higher level, a new horizon, another weakness to overcome, another strength to cultivate. Complacency is the end, but growth is infinite. The man who accepts this reality is never bored, never defeated, never truly discouraged, because he understands that the journey itself is the reward. Every day becomes an opportunity to test, refine, and perfect the system that is his greatest asset. Above all, remember, you are the architect, the builder, and the inhabitant of your own mental fortress. No one will hand you the blueprints. No one will enforce the standards. No one will rescue you from the allure of comfort. If you falter, it is your responsibility to rise. If you stray, your obligation to return. But if you persist, if you honor the contract you have written with yourself, there will come a day when your system is so strong, so resilient, so attuned to the laws of achievement that success becomes your daily companion, not an occasional visitor. Let your days be marked not by chance, but by choice. Let your routines reflect not the habits of the average, but the rituals of the uncommon. Let your mind, trained by daily effort, become the unbreakable engine that carries you farther than talent or luck ever could. This is the destiny of the man who trains his mind into a system that creates success day after day, until success becomes not a goal, but a way of life. When you reach the final stretch of your journey toward building a mind engineered for daily success, you must confront the greatest challenge of all, longevity. This is not merely the persistence of a few weeks or months, nor the fleeting commitment of a man who starts strong and finishes weak. Longevity is the art of enduring through decades, of weathering the storms and droughts, of rising when the world expects you to retreat, and of showing up for yourself day after day after day, regardless of recognition, applause, or immediate reward. The man who endures outlasts the talented, outpaces the lucky, and rises above the critics because he has learned the secret that most will never discover. Discipline, once installed as a permanent system, is the ultimate force multiplier in human achievement. Yet, as you extend your discipline over years and decades, the mind inevitably encounters weariness. Enthusiasm can fade. The novelty of early victories wears off, and what once felt thrilling can grow stale. In this season, most people abandon their disciplines, blaming boredom, burnout, or the mistaken belief that the struggle means something is wrong. But understand this: boredom is not a sign to stop. It is a signal to go deeper. The man who continues his system through the valley of monotony is the man who wins in the end. For mastery is not built on inspiration, but on relentless repetition. Do not be fooled by the excitement of beginnings. The world is filled with men who start. Success is reserved for the rare few who finish, and even more so for those who can begin again each morning with renewed purpose. In this final part of your transformation, You must cultivate an identity so fused to your system that quitting becomes inconceivable. Identity is destiny. If you see yourself as someone who only follows through when convenient, your actions will echo that weakness, and you will fail when adversity appears. But if you see yourself truly, deeply, as a person whose word is law, whose actions are dictated not by feeling but by decision, you forge an inner steel that cannot be bent. Each day, remind yourself not only of your goals, but of who you must become to reach them. Success is not just the result of what you do. It is the inevitable outcome of who you are becoming. At this pinnacle, it is vital to develop the mental reflexes that allow you to course correct instantly. Life will always throw unexpected obstacles in your path. A sudden crisis, a failed project, the betrayal of a partner, or the collapse of a long-cherished plan. Most people are knocked out of their system by a single blow and never recover their rhythm. But you must condition your mind so that no setback is fatal, no failure is final. When something disrupts your routine, return to your system the very next moment. Do not wait for tomorrow, Monday, or the perfect time. The speed at which you return to your disciplines is the speed at which you reclaim control of your destiny. Repetition is not only the builder of habits, but the healer of disruption. You will find, as your system grows more robust, that your power to influence others quietly multiplies. You become a living testament to what is possible, and your presence alone becomes a silent challenge to mediocrity. People will ask for your secrets, believing you possess some mystical advantage, when in truth your only secret is a mind trained to choose progress over comfort, action over excuse, and discipline over distraction. Let others marvel at your results. Let them speculate. You owe them no explanation, for you have built a life that speaks for itself. But the disciplined mind must not become the rigid mind. The most powerful systems allow for adaptation and growth. Every few months, step back and review the entirety of your life with ruthless honesty. Are your routines still serving your highest goals? Are your daily actions producing meaningful results, or have you become a slave to ritual for its own sake? The purpose of a system is not to confine you, but to free you from indecision, from chaos, from the tyranny of mood and the whims of fate. Upgrade your system as you upgrade your ambitions. What was effective at one level may become the very thing that holds you back at the next. Do not fear reinvention. The river that refuses to change course becomes a stagnant pond. As you solidify your system, you must address the subtle sabotage of doubt. Doubt is the great poison of achievement, the slow erosion that eats away at resolve and causes even the most disciplined to falter. It arrives disguised as practicality, as just being realistic, as the voice of friends and loved ones who warn you not to aim so high, to slow down, to enjoy life. Make no mistake. You can enjoy life and pursue greatness at the same time. You do not have to choose between pleasure and progress. But if you surrender your ambitions to appease the fears of others, you will spend your days haunted by what might have been. Let your system protect you from the self-doubt that derails the average man. When your mind is governed by clear, daily actions, doubt cannot linger. It has nowhere to root itself. You must also develop the art of internal feedback. Most people crave validation from the outside world, praise, recognition, a pat on the back from others. This is a trap. True growth is measured not by the approval of the masses, but by your own standards. Each night, before you sleep, review your day in silence. Did you live up to your own expectations? Did you keep your word to yourself? Did you confront your weaknesses with honesty and courage? This quiet, nightly audit is where real progress is made. No applause is necessary. In the solitude of self-examination, you find both your faults and your triumphs, and you make tomorrow better than today. This is how champions are built, one honest day at a time. It is at this stage that your mind, once wild and undisciplined, now becomes a powerful servant. Tasks that once seemed difficult now flow with ease. Procrastination, once a formidable foe, is replaced by a bias toward action. Distractions, once irresistible, lose their allure because your system has created an environment where only meaningful work can thrive. But be warned, the greatest danger at this stage is pride. The mind, impressed with its own achievements, becomes susceptible to arrogance, to the illusion that you are somehow immune to backsliding. Remain humble. The system that has elevated you can also be undone by neglect or hubris. Continue to invest in your own education. Read widely. Seek mentors who have walked further than you. Never assume you have arrived. There's always another summit, another level of discipline, another skill to master. Make learning a daily habit. The greatest minds in history, from Edison to Carnegie, from Ford to Rockefeller, never stopped growing, never ceased to question, never abandoned the quest for better methods, better ideas, better results. Emulate them. Become a lifelong student of success. Finally, recognize that your system is not just for you. As you grow, you gain the privilege and the responsibility to teach others. Share your knowledge, not to show off, but to serve. Lead by example. Let others see in your habits the living proof that greatness is within their reach, if only they are willing to pay the price. Your system, tested and refined, becomes a lighthouse for those lost in the fog of mediocrity. You inspire not with speeches, but with your actions, quiet, steady, relentless. The time will come when the world recognizes what you have built, when your name becomes associated with results that others consider impossible. But never forget that the true reward is not the applause, not the trophies, or the riches. The real reward is knowing that you have tamed your own mind, bent your days to your own design, and lived life as the architect rather than the victim. Success, when pursued through a system of daily discipline, becomes inevitable, no longer a wish or a hope, but a law. In the end, when you look back on your journey, you will see that greatness is not an event, but a system, an unbroken chain of ordinary days, stacked atop one another, made extraordinary by your consistent effort. You will see that the battles were won not in grand moments, but in the quiet hours when no one was watching and you kept your promises to yourself. And you will know, in the core of your being, that you possess the one advantage that can never be taken from you. A mind trained into a system that creates success daily, until achievement is as natural as breathing and progress is as certain as the dawn. This, above all, is the legacy of a truly disciplined life,